Hi guys, welcome to my final video of my painted pieces for Axis and Allies. Start with this right here. This is the only lid I did that this is a copy. They all have the real metals except for this one, and the real metal is right here. Now this was like $350, so I wasn't about to cut all this off so I can mount it. The other ones average about $40 to $50. I don't mind grinding down a $50 metal, but I do mind grinding down a $350 metal. Now, if you ever come across one of these, there are a couple ways to check to see if it is real or not. Because they are, replicated. You get the mark, is the stamp right here is the manufacturer's mark. In addition to, this is actually two pieces of metal. You have iron, which you'll know it's iron. It's called the iron cross for a reason, because it is magnetic. That's your test one. But the whole thing isn't magnetic. It is, all this is silver. And you can tell it's two different pieces. You'll be able to slide this in here. Okay, replicas, you are not able to get this in there. That's kind of tight. Let me try a different corner. You're not able to get that in there. So you can tell that this is a piece of iron that is then encased in silver. So there you go. That's how you can tell. Okay, so back to the pieces. Now, just like on my Japan video I just did, I talked about the carriers and how the carriers are going to be replaced. And I'm really excited to paint these carriers. These are great. I also mentioned before I talked about it, about how I did a German Africa Corps, which I had to pull from game because sometimes they would get confused with the Italy players, or the Italy pieces, and then sometimes a German player would accidentally move Italy and Africa Corps at the same time. When I say other players, of course I never did it, but it's because I know what my pieces look like. Now, my last video I talked about the transport I ordered for Japan, and I said it was from the 1942 game. John Brown let me know it is from the 1941 game. Reason I'm bringing this up is because I did the same thing for here. I used those units for the transports as well. I did not like those surfboards that the game came with. So while these are all done and painted, these are no longer in play. Okay, so far that's for pretty stock units so far. There's a few different variants of these. Some have the swastikas on the tail, some don't. Some have different piping around here and there. I always try to give my aircraft a little bit of variety. Because the aircraft and the tanks probably be my favorite to paint. Tanks and the ground units, because I like to do the weathering with the airbrush. And the planes, I like, just because they're so small, you don't have to do a lot of work for them to look really cool. All right, so I pulled every tank. Actually, I pulled every tank, every mech, out of the game, and I replaced them with several different variants. This tank is from Historical Board Gaming. And I also used another variant. I just really like having variants in my game. But remember, I mentioned keeping a paint theme. Save yourself some aggravation. Unless you're playing with historical, history buffs, you probably won't have a problem. But if you're playing at people who just want to play the game, you're going to find yourself getting irritated. Now this was pretty easy set to paint because it's mostly just shot with Panzer Gray. And then, detailed from that. So this really didn't take too much effort to do these pieces here. Like I said, I replaced the mechs. I have 3 styles of mechs. This is one of them. And this is not a historical board game piece, but I believe it is Battle of the Bulge piece, Axis and Allies. And you can order these on Historical Board Gaming as well. Though these are always out of stock, so if you see it, get it. And these are the mechs that came with it, but not. I mean, they came with this 250 or 251 half track or something, but the ones that came with the game, this is not hollowed out like it should be. And so I went to Historical Board Gaming and got the ones that look more authentic as to what as for the detail goes. If you're going to paint something, I wanted to paint something that I liked. I got a few variants in the troop. Some troops I put, they have a badge on there. If you watched my painting vid, you remember these guys here. General Hand Grenade sent me a few guys to paint up. Nothing wrong with a few different variants. Okay, and now the Africa Corps that is no longer in game, which is a shame. These were almost pulled from game almost immediately after they were done. It was too annoying for me. I mean, for me personally, I don't understand how you can't tell the difference, but just because they don't even look remotely the same. But some of our players have bad sight. If you have my card deck, and I've been asked why are the cards kind of big? Well, the cards are kind of big because a lot of our people are old, and their eyes are not like they used to be. And one of my more avid players had an app on his phone where he used to always use it as a magnifying glass so he can read just normal stuff. The charts that are printed on the game board. He would have to get his magnifying glass app to read those. So when I made my card deck, I designed that with that in mind. That hey, you know, some of us are old, and we gotta be able to read the cards very easily. So in case you're wondering why the cards are kind of on the bigger side, well, that's why. I want everybody to be able to read them and not have any issues. You know, the purpose of the card deck is to make things easier. If you can't read it and you got to get a magnifying glass out, your eyes are no good. Well, that's not easier. That's a hassle. Okay, and now the fun part, as you saw. So now you can see all these pieces here that were pulled from game, unfortunately. That's the remaining of my Africa core. Wasn't a lot, but it was a lot of units painted for nothing. So like I said, take my advice, heed my warning, pick a theme, and save yourself some aggravation. Okay, guys, so this concludes the painted unit series. As I mentioned, there will be another video for the carriers, and also I have another painting style I want to do. As far since I just had to open my new games, I have a whole new 2 new game stuff pieces to paint, but they are going to be in a different style. So we'll get on that soon. Okay, guys, thank you much and take care.